Today on Messy with Missy, I have the pleasure of talking to my dear friend Denise Cooperwhite. Denise Cooper White lost her son Derick in February 2010, and we've been talking pretty much ever since, on and off on Facebook. And I think this podcast will help a lot of parents too, because again, we're talking about grief and how we deal with it, um, everyday life, what we go through. Do you want to start off and talk about Derick?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a half-hour podcast,
Yeah.
and which I've never done a podcast before.
Yeah.
But I was thinking like a half hour will go really fast because there's so much you can talk
I
about when
would,
you lost a child.
yeah, I was thinking that too. You and I could probably even talk for hours and just keep talking.
Yeah, especially that we are both in the same boat of a bereaved mom.
Yeah.
It's a big boat. It's not a boat no one wants to get on, that's for sure. But we do, and we have to live each day the best we can, and everyone's different in that department as well.
Yeah. How old was Derick when he passed away?
25.
25. So
Yeah.
young, very young.
Mm-hmm.
And
Very.
tell me about Derick's personality. And I know I can tell you what I've heard about him, just being really just the energy of the room, that smile on his face and always wanting to help anybody that crossed his path.
Yeah. In so many ways, Derick was a lot like me. And, he did like to have a good time. He liked to have friends. He did like to help. He was very money driven.
Yeah.
He did tell me one time that he was planning on being a millionaire at age
Oh,
35.
that's so funny.
He loved money. Sometimes he used to disappear, and I'm like, "Where's Derick?" And my husband and I were like, "I don't know." And I'd look down the street, and four houses down there, he was washing someone's car.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
Oh,
he saved his money, and he saved it better than I can save mine. That's for sure.
oh wow.
Yeah. He of course, he was 6'4", so he was very tall and
Very tall,
very handsome.
very handsome, and dressed very dapper too.
Yeah, and he looked good in anything. And I mean, it's been 13 and a half years since I lost him, and still to this day, if I go to a store and I see a shirt that I would probably normally buy for him because he always looked good, and I always like to surprise him with things.
Yeah.
And I still look at it, and if I can't buy it for him, and obviously not, I'll take a picture of it.
Oh, yeah.
uh, there's nothing else you can really do, and they're not here.
How do you feel like when you got that dreaded call that Derick passed away? Did you receive any signs from that moment on that maybe as a mom, like we just know there's certain things that aren't coincidences, that could be a song, could be something that connects the two of you together, something that he loved, that he reached out and you got that sign.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it would probably have to be robins, the birds,
Oh, yeah.
because where we used to live, it was a new subdivision and there was no trees. But after he passed away, it's like every morning this robin would be on our fence, like making robin sounds.
Yep, yep.
And I had to get up out of bed, and I thought, okay, what is this? There's no
Yeah.
trees around here. And I looked, and it was a robin that was every morning for the longest time.
Oh,
And,
wow.
another time, a few years ago, I was out shooting an event because I'm a photographer, and I was just looking for it here on my desk because I know it's here. And I got home and realized I'd lost my anklet, and Derick actually gave me that for Mother's Day one year.
Oh, wow.
And
Oh,
I couldn't wear it for years because I was a skating instructor and it would bother me in my boot. But after I quit skating, I wore it all the time. Even if I
yeah.
had surgery, it had to stay on. Anyway, I lost my chain, and I thought, oh, there was thousands of people there. How am I going to ever find it? So I said to my husband, let's go back there and see
Yeah.
if I can find it. I'll walk my same
Path that you did.
path. And I was almost about to give up, and I thought, I don't know, I don't. He was looking, I was looking like everywhere, and then I spotted a robin. It was
Oh,
probably about 10 feet from my husband, maybe 15 feet from me. And
yeah.
I said, John, and I pointed at the robin, and I looked down at my ankles, my feet, and there was the chain.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay,
there
you
it
just gave
is.
me chills. Yeah, I got
Yeah.
goose. Yeah.
So this is something about robins. I know people say cardinals, but for me,
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's like everybody's different. For me, it was my son loves squirrels. And we would always get this kooky, funny squirrel in the backyard that would literally do backflips. It was like on a trampoline, jumping up and doing all these funny things. And I always would think about Zach or butterflies. I get a lot of butterflies.
yeah, they
Yeah,
say that about monarch. I mean, whether these are real signs or not, we hope they are.
yeah,
We have to hold on to something, right?
yeah. And I think it's true, like you said, whether they're signs or not, if it makes us feel better, even
Mhm.
if it's not a sign and it gets us through that moment or that day. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I
I know.
forgot to ask you before we were doing when we were doing the talk prior. Have you had many dreams of Derick?
I wouldn't say I've had many, but when I do, it's always nice. And I remember the first dream I had, it actually felt good because I felt like when I woke up, I got to spend some time with him. And
Yes.
as you know, he was very tall
Yeah.
and had these massively long arms to match the height. And so his hugs, you know,
Yeah.
he had those long arms. And I just remember hugging in the dream and it felt nice. You know, even
Yeah.
though it's a dream, they say they come to us that way.
No, I do believe that. They do say because if you think about it too, you would think that if we lost somebody, we miss them so much that we would be able to dream about them all the time, and that's not the case. So I
No.
do think those dreams are special visits because my son's been gone for 11 years. I maybe can count 6 times that I've had a dream. But every
Yeah,
time I have one, he comes like my son was 9 when he passed away, but he's always about 4 or 5 in my dream.
right.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's just how I remember him being that little or what the dreams mean, but they are visits. They say they are visits from them to come down to
Yeah,
heal our heart a bit.
they're kind of nice, aren't they?
Oh,
Feels
they
like
definitely
you
are.
spent
Yeah.
some time with them. Yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be
It,
nice to get them every night.
I know. Yeah, absolutely. Is it
Yeah.
okay to talk about like mental health issues and stuff like that Derick went through? Because I think also too, this podcast will help a lot of other parents that are maybe going through that with their own children. Maybe again, like you said, and I said too, that it's always the most positive, happy people that you don't expect to pass away, and they do. I always think about Robin Williams, right? Happy. Never would have, never would have thought, right? So we
Right.
can't walk around every day and think that people are just doing okay. And I don't know if maybe us talking, we can help other parents to maybe, reach out to their children a little bit different. Maybe things that now you look back and you're like, you know what, maybe, I remember that he was going through this or going through that, or it could be nothing because we don't know,
Hmm.
but they don't tell us.
No, they don't. And I do remember sitting on the edge of Derek's bed one time. It was probably, I'm going to say, about 3 or 4 years before he passed.
Yeah.
And he was saying, "I feel dead inside." I
Oh,
remember him saying that a couple times, and I said, "You know what, Derick? Mental illness is like a cold. You
yeah.
have to medicate it. You have to get help." So I did take him to Mississauga Hospital a couple times to see someone, and
Yeah.
he came out saying that that was good, Mom. That felt good. And speaking of Mom, do I ever miss hearing that?
I know. I
Yeah,
know. Actually, speaking of that too, because I was saying to you earlier that you're the first parent and friend that I have that has lost their only child. Derick was your only child. And I
yeah,
think sometimes I don't think about that when, I lost my son, but I still have a daughter. Like you said, you don't hear the word mom anymore, but I hear the word mom. And
right.
it didn't hit me until you said that. Like I'm gonna even tear up. So I do, my heart is with you 100% because I couldn't imagine, like I can imagine losing a child because I have like you have, but I couldn't imagine if that was my only child.
Right. I mean, that's something we can't compare is grief
Yeah.
because we all grieve and we all grieve so hard losing
Yeah.
any child
Yeah.
of ours. But I think it just puts another level on it, I guess they could say, losing an only child. Because for me, I always wanted a child. I
Yeah.
didn't just have one by choice. I just didn't happen to have more. We tried. And having just one, I was very protective of him because he's
Yeah.
all I had.
That's all you
And
have.
now that I've lost him, when he was born, he was my everything. He changed my
Yeah.
life, as he does many moms when you have a
Yeah.
child. But when he died, he changed it again. And now I've lost like my identity as mom.
Yeah.
So I had to get it tattooed. It's
Yeah.
actually
Oh,
his writing,
yeah. I
Derick
love that. Yeah. I love that.
and mom.
Yeah.
And
I love that.
the year he was born. And that's another thing with tattoos. A lot of bereaved parents. I mean, we're speaking more about moms today, but
Yeah.
they get a tattoo, even though I was dead set against tattoos. I don't really like them. I know it's art now and it's not like it used to be, but
Yeah.
getting that tattoo is like a stamp that I'm a bereaved mom. And
Yeah, no, it that makes sense. Yeah. And it's something too that when you're having those moments you can look down and look at, right? And like you said, you were totally set against tattoos and here you are getting one, right? But it does. It's like you said, you lost your identity. Where
right,
I always explain it like the day that I got that call and I found out that he was no longer here, it's like half of me died with him. It
yeah,
just it was gone. It's not coming back. We have to learn to basically get up every day and try to get through the day the best that we can. And there's no
right,
book that's handed to us that says, here, now you're a grieving parent and here, go through the book and you're going to be okay. We're left on our own.
right. Yeah, it's not something we learn in school, that's for sure. It's really everyone's different. And talking about our lost child to a parent that's never lost a child,
Yeah.
you kind of feel like not only they really don't understand, you can't
Yeah.
even say, well, I've lost my brother. I know. No, you don't. I lost my brother to, he took his life. So did my son, Derick. They're buried together. Um, it's, I don't even remember what I was going to say now. There's just so much.
No, yeah, no, I know. I'm like that. Yeah, no, because I'm like so listening to you too. No, I know. It's not. It's hard. It's yeah. That you when they say they lost their but then you lost your brother, so it's not the same as you know
Right.
losing your
Yeah.
child. There's really no words. Like I do often say that I believe that it is the worst torture a human can possibly go through is losing a child. That's the only way I can describe it because when you remember when you first got that call and thank God we don't remember that feeling now. But if you can go back and think about it, thank God you're kind of put in shock and like in a cloud. It feels like you're in a nightmare, waking up every day and you can't think properly and it's not real. I think that's our body protecting our brain and our heart because it's just too much to handle.
I kind of do remember when I was on the phone and I didn't just find out. There was a little bit of a runaround to find out what happened to my boy.
Yeah.
And I do remember I remember exactly where I was, how I paced back and forth down the hall, and I just, yeah, it's unbelievable. I remember actually not too long ago, a song came on by Amanda Marshall,
Yeah.
and I remember listening to it in the kitchen, and I was at the sink. My husband was in the living room watching TV, and I screamed. I
Oh,
just screamed. I felt like I needed to let that go
let
because
that go.
I hold it all inside and it hurts, to lose a child. It's just, I know people have said, I have lost a lot of people in my life, my mother, and all these people they list off, but nothing hurts like this.
Yeah, no, and you're right because I remember losing my mom prior to losing our son, and I thought that was the worst pain I'd ever experienced until you lose a child. Yeah, you really couldn't. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
No, it's horrible. You know, wherever I go, if I see someone that's really, really tall, I almost have to say, how tall are you?
Yeah, how tall are you?
I do. And if I hear 6'4", then it just brings me back to, okay, that's how tall Derick was, and I look
Yeah.
up and then he
Oh,
starts,
he was really tall then, 6'4". Oh wow, he was really tall.
he was tall and slim. Yeah. Yeah.
Aw. Was
So
he mama's boy?
always,
Aw.
he's always my boy. My,
Aw.
if I said Derick, then he
Oh,
knew
I
that
was gonna ask you. I was gonna ask you if you had any like nicknames for him or anything.
yeah, just if I said Derek Thomas, which was his middle name, he's usually in trouble, but he was a pretty good kid. He really was. And just when he hits around 17, he started to have these different mood swings and
Yeah.
bipolar started to show up. So it was really tough because on his good days, I was the best mom in the world to him, and he would
Yeah.
talk really high about me. And he had a really good childhood. We had him in guitar, and because he was an only child, I wanted him to be able to play with a lot of other kids. So he was
Yeah.
in soccer, judo, taekwondo, chess.
Yeah.
He was
Oh,
just
wow.
about everything, bowling, Boy Scouts. And I wanted him to be surrounded by other people and friends. And see, again, I forgot what I was going to say.
Okay, you know what? I think that too often, like, you know what? I don't even think that's our age. I think that's like grieving parents. Like you just, yeah, I get like that too, where I'm like, what the heck was I saying? What was I doing? Did I
Well,
come?
I think too, you want to say so much because you're hoping that there's people out there listening that will understand. Like, it's hard to understand, but if they're in the same boat,
Yes.
we get it.
Is there anything that you know that maybe Derick was going through at the time before, or something that maybe upset him? Was it like it was in a relationship or something that just,
Well, with him and having my brother who took his life, I knew that he struggled. So
yeah,
if I found out that he went to a concert with someone and I happened to speak to that other person, I would ask, how was he? Was he happy? Did he laugh? Oh yeah, yeah, he was fine. And that just helped me sleep another night
yeah, yeah,
peacefully. But I knew that Derick struggled and I worried a lot about him because, bipolar runs in
yeah,
my family on my dad's side. So I did worry about him and I always held on to hope and faith that Derick would always be strong to get through anything like I have, no
yeah,
matter what.
yeah.
But he didn't. Yeah.
And that's like, and that breaks my heart too, because I hear so many times that, again, it's that moment that they're thinking that, like you said, where he felt dead inside, right? And they appear to be happy. Like we see them and they're happy and they're smiling, and it takes you back because you think, no, not them. What? They're so happy, so go lucky. Um, but it's what they carry on inside, I guess, that they don't share, right? Which is so sad.
Yeah. And, I guess in the way he called me, I would say, I wish I knew the exact date, but it was either January 30th or 31st of 2010, which is
Yeah.
only like 2, 3 weeks before he took his life. But even on Facebook, he posted like about 5 different songs. And I remember the last song he posted was Hurt by
Oh,
Johnny Cash.
oh, I know that song. Yeah.
Yeah, and he sounded so good. He called me up and he said, oh yeah, and one day we should go skating sometime, Mom. But
No.
then, a month before, he didn't want anything to do with me.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
just depend. And I understood at the time that it wasn't. I never felt that it was something I did. I just felt like, you know what? He's really hurting and he doesn't know how to fix it or what's wrong. So he's got to blame something.
Yeah.
And here I was,
Yeah.
the easiest
Yeah.
thing to blame was mom. And that was so hard to go through that at that time. It was really hard because I knew that I did everything I could for him. I always made sure that he knew that if he ever felt like he needed a prescription for
Yeah.
anything, I don't worry about money. We'll help you with that because I knew he struggled.
Yeah.
But again, I always just thought he wouldn't do that because he's too much like me. He's too
Yeah.
strong. He's going to get through it.
So what could you maybe like, what message could you maybe give other parents that are maybe even listening when we put this on, that are maybe going through the same thing with their child? And like you said, you never would have thought that that would have been the outcome. What could you say to them to maybe help other parents out, that maybe they can see the signs that are going on with their own children, and not have it be this outcome, which again, it's not, nothing to do with you. It's not your fault, nobody's fault, right? A person with bipolar or mental illness, they just get to that point sometimes where they do it in silence, right?
I have another brother who is bipolar. He's attempted several times. He's still here, but you know, there's nothing. Everybody's different again on how they deal with mental illness,
Yeah.
but for me, I was a skating instructor for a long time and I was gone at dinner time. And I would say, like, if you can sit down at the dinner table
Yeah.
and try and include your kids into family affairs,
Yeah.
play games, whatever it is. It
Yeah.
could be an outdoor game or encourage them to hang out and have a dinner. And if you're worried about them, come right out and say,
Yeah.
do you ever think of hurting yourself? Is
Yeah.
there anything we can do? We're here for you.
Yeah.
I think most people do that, but just to keep your eye open a little wider
Yeah.
to children. If you're a little bit worried about them,
Yeah.
You're there's probably a reason.
Yeah. No, that makes sense too. And like you said too, because it wasn't until, well, I guess you said his 20s that he was diagnosed with bipolar. So he probably wouldn't even have known all these emotions and feelings that was going on with him until he got diagnosed. And even then it's hard to um figure it out. Every day is different. Like you said, you could be the best mom one day and he doesn't want to talk to you the next day. But it has
Yeah.
nothing to do with you. It's just what's going on with him, right?
Yeah, definitely. But I tried not to blame myself for it because it's too hard when you know in your heart that you really gave your child everything you possibly could.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't tie them up to the bedpost. I mean, there's children out there that go through hell and back with
Oh, I
parents
know.
that should never be parents.
Absolutely.
I don't ever feel that I was that type of parent in
Yeah.
any way,
Yeah.
ever. I
Yeah.
gave them my all. I loved them to
With your
bits.
dad. Yeah. No, I can see it
Oh,
in your face. Yeah. When you talk about him.
yeah. And you know, I haven't cried in a long, long time. And just saying that right now to you, someone who's lost a child, you get it. And you
Yeah.
feel
I get it.
tears can flow a little easier because we both get it. But you don't open up quite the same with other friends that
No.
haven't lost a child, even if they lost a brother or sister or
Yeah.
mother. It's not the same. You don't want to bore them with your story.
No, I know. Because actually, that's the way you say it. It's that's how I feel too. Like we're boring them. It's like, how many times did they want to hear that we're missing our son, but they don't get it if they haven't lost a child. So
You
to them,
can't.
it may seem like we're stuck in like a grieving phase, but they don't realize that our grieving is going to be forever till the day that we take our last breath, right?
Yeah, it's kind of maddening. I don't know if you've ever read that story, Walking in Your Shoes or something like
Yeah.
that, where your
Yeah.
shoes hurt no matter what, no matter how short or little or
Yeah.
long you walk, they always hurt.
Yeah.
And also losing a limb, your limb's not going to grow back.
No.
So it's kind of the same, you know, you lose a child, you lose a part of yourself. And this is something I'd mentioned to you before is I had told Derick and my husband for a long time that in my heart I knew how old I was going to be when I was going to die.
Yeah.
You know, you get a feeling, and this number kept coming back to me. It's almost like I had a psychic ability.
Yeah.
And
No, I know what you mean. Yeah.
so they'd say like how old, and I never shared it with them. I just kept it to myself, but the age was 46.
Yeah.
Well, that's how old I was when I lost Derick. So I did kind of lose myself and die in a way.
Absolutely. And
Hmm.
it's strange too when we get these signs like a number or something like you said you felt where it's like where is it coming from? Like what is giving us that, it's like a warning, but we can't figure out what that is.
Hmm.
Like I remember before our son drowned, about maybe 3 weeks prior, I had this overwhelming feeling that something really bad was going to happen, but I just couldn't put my finger on it. It was like inside my stomach. I woke up with it every day. That mother instinct. It was very strange.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, for me, it wasn't, I didn't catch on at the time, and I don't know if it means anything or not, but we were in Florida, we're snowbirds, and we were there on the 23rd, which is when Derick was found. And
okay.
I had a horrible gallbladder attack. It
Oh,
was so bad. So I don't know. I mean, I've had surgery since and I'm okay, but I just remember too having a dinner with
yeah.
some neighbors and friends and thinking, you know, when I look back now, and we were posing and I
Yeah.
was feeling these pain, but little did I know that that
Yeah.
night when I was having dinner, my son was somewhere hanging. I
Yeah.
know that sounds terrible and
Yeah. No,
very
but I think
out.
it's good to say it because a lot of, people might comment on the podcast and ask how he passed away. Just they're curious, right? They might be going through the same thing on their own.
Yeah. And that's something too, like I don't know how parents do it when they find their children.
Oh, I
I
know.
didn't find him. I wasn't even in the same country, but
I'm
I didn't.
glad that you didn't. I'm glad that you didn't find because I think I think losing a child is one thing, but if you're the one that finds your child, oh, I think that's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, I think so. And again, we talk about levels. I mean, you
Yes.
can't really put an exact number on those levels, but losing a child and it's your only child puts another level on it. And if you, okay, so that's a level for me, but I do have friends that have found their children,
Oh, okay.
and that's a different level for them.
Yeah.
So
Because
It's
we
just,
can't, like, because you've gone through what you've gone through, but you can't comprehend what, them finding their child. Because no, it's I understand. I totally understand.
I didn't even see Derick. I didn't want to. He'd been gone too long by the time we got back to Ontario, but my husband wanted to see him, and the funeral director said, I don't recommend it at all.
Yeah.
And I didn't want him to see him, even though I just didn't want him to be the person who saw him last. And I didn't see him, but I didn't want to see him.
Yeah.
And
I get that. Yeah.
yeah, and in the he was gone too long. I think, like, oh, I don't know. They found him on the 23rd. He'd already been there for approximately 5 days. And by the
Okay.
time we got back, I found out on the 27th of February.
Yeah.
They That was a Saturday, and they brought him back to Milton on the Monday. He'd
Yeah.
been gone a long time.
Yeah. No, and you know what? Like, just because my mom passed away and she was there for 5, 6 days, I can tell you that you guys made the best decision not to go. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
My husband feels that he didn't really put closure. He didn't
Oh, I
really have
see.
closure.
Okay.
It's kind of weird because I didn't see him either. And in the way, you kind of think, maybe he'll walk in the door. Maybe this
Yeah.
isn't really real. Maybe they got the wrong person. You start to think these
Yeah.
ideas, but no, I've got his stuff in my garage, and he's not come back to get it in
Yeah.
13.5 years. So
Yeah. Did you keep any of his cologne or something to smell? Like, I kept my son's little bottle of cologne that I smell the odd time. I think I've smelled it like twice when I've walked outside. I get this waft of his cologne and I'm like, oh my God, that's so strange. There's nobody walking around. There's no reason for me to smell that.
you know what? I don't know, because I still have not been able to go through his stuff. And that's something
Oh,
that it's in the garage, and it's
I,
taking up some space. But I tried to just look at it one time, and I broke out into tears, and I've just never had the urge to look. In my head, I think I
I
should
see what you're
probably
saying.
get rid of some of it. But every time you get rid of one other piece of item, you feel like you're getting rid of them again, and
Nope, that
so
makes sense. Nope,
yeah.
because what
So
happened was when oh, I love that picture. Yeah, because
see
that
this
picture was like his smile, like how happy. Aw.
so this shirt here is a
Yeah.
shirt that I have of his, and he wore it a lot. And it's in the closet. And when we had his birthday one time at
Yeah.
the funeral at the cemetery, I brought the shirt. And then we
Oh,
had another event for him, and I had the shirt hanging there. So that,
oh, nice.
but
And
I
I
really
think,
should go
I
through
think,
this.
well, yeah, I think when you're ready, because if you feel that you're not ready, don't look at, because what happened was when our son passed away, nobody told me, don't touch his stuff, leave it alone. And I threw it all away. I gave it to his friends, all his clothes to like all his friends, because to look at it, I couldn't bear to look at it. I didn't want to walk by his room. We moved out of the house, I think a month after he passed away. And now thinking back, I wish somebody would have stepped in and said, stop, don't, you're not thinking right. Keep it, put it in a box, put it in your garage.
Wait.
Yeah, because literally now all I have is like, I do have some things, but I got rid of everything. It breaks my heart that I did.
Yeah, exactly. And again, that's where you're different, but your son lived in your house. It's
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
Mine didn't. He
Yeah.
wasn't living at home anymore. So I never went to where he passed. I know where it is. I've never been there. My husband emptied the apartment. He had moved back in with someone, and sometimes I think I should go just drive by, but I don't know. One day you want to, one day you think maybe, and then the next day said why. It doesn't
I
bring me
know,
back.
yeah, I know. Because sometimes it's like you think you should, but then maybe if you did go, it might. I think to sometimes too, like what I do is have a good cry. Put on a song that you like, whether it's a song that he liked, a song that maybe just gets you going when your husband's not there. Dance in the kitchen and ball it out. I do that. Like I think even like about a month ago, I was down doing laundry and out of nowhere, I think something sparked in my head about my son, and I literally sat down on my laundry room floor and I bawled my friggin' eyes out for 10 minutes. It was a cry that I think I kept in for way too long. And it was
Mhm.
the tears, the snot, the whole I couldn't breathe. And I walked upstairs and I literally felt like I'd had the bricks lifted off of me because I was keeping it in. I don't like to cry. Nobody wants to cry, but I think we sometimes have to let that out. You could
Yeah,
have a good crying fest going through his stuff in the garage, of just it's your son's stuff. It's something that you haven't gone through in a long time. But when you're ready, so do it when you're ready.
I don't know that if I'm ready or not. It's
Oh,
been
I don't think you are
13.5
yet.
years,
Yeah.
and I'd like to clear it out in a way because we could use a space.
Yeah.
But then getting rid of one thing of his is like getting rid of another piece of him, and that's
Yeah.
all I have left of
Yeah.
him.
No, I get it. Yeah, because then that's one less thing that you have. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I still have his toys, and I mean, all his clothes and shoes are in the
Aw.
garage.
Aw.
I should go through it because it's like I said, it's taking space that we could use, but well, I don't know. I've moved, I even touching it and to move it onto
No, I
the
know it's hot.
space.
Yeah, I could imagine because I think like for you too, it's kind of like you're opening back up. It's fresh. It's like going back to the beginning. If you haven't seen it in so long and it's all of his things, it would be very hard because I can't side with you because I don't have those things to open up, right? Like I
Right.
kept the school work and like books and stuff like that that I can read and some of his clothes, but I don't have like all of his things.
Yeah, I have just about everything he had, but then he moved a few times before he passed. So I think along the way he either lost things or gave things away or
Yeah.
something because there's not a ton of stuff there, but enough. Yeah, I thought for sure this was a summer where I was going to go out there and just sit down with music and go through it. And summer's not over, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. No, do you have any like video recordings of him when he was little?
I do, but you know
Oh,
what? I've not been able to watch them
okay.
still.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
everybody's different. Some
Nope,
people
you're
can do a
right.
memory video like the next week and
Yeah.
watch it. I can't, but I will tell you, it was 5 years for me
Yeah.
before I could listen to messages like on my phone from
Oh,
time ago. And the reason, well, it took 5 years before I
yeah.
could manage to get the strength to do it. But what I wanted really bad and why I listened to them, because I knew his voice was there, I
Yeah.
wanted to hear mom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to hear my son say mom.
Yeah.
So I did. And,
Aw.
and that was nice. So yeah, I'll be keeping that forever.
You can actually, if you have a recording with him saying mom, I don't know how you can do it, but they put recordings in like a stuffed animal where like a bear, when you press
Right,
it,
right, right.
it'll say his voice back. Maybe I can look into that for you and do something like that for you.
Right. The other thing people do too is I've heard is because I have his clothes, but except that blue shirt, I'm not going to do anything with that. That's kind of my
Or make
boy.
pillows. They make pillows or like, yeah, I've seen
Blankets
that.
and yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know what I want to do. I don't know. It's
No,
tough.
I think one day when you're ready, you'll know that you're ready.
I think if you have other children, it's just a little bit easier. But then I know people that have other kids and they talk highly of the one that's passed, like they were their everything. And I feel bad for the other kids,
No,
but
you know what? And that's true because my daughter often said that to me years ago, is that she felt that I was really only talking about her brother.
right.
It bothered me because I said to her, but your brother's not here. You're here. I can hug you. I can kiss you, but your brother isn't here.
Hmm.
But when I kind of thought about it in her mind, when her mom's always praising the one that's not here and posting about him, I can understand because it took away, you know, everything from her.
I get that her way and your way too. But
Yeah.
I remember reading on Facebook because I belong to different bereaved groups on
Oh,
Facebook.
same. Yeah.
And I remember someone, I guess it was pretty fresh for them losing their child. And they said, to your moms and dads out there, or whatever, however the question was posed, it was,
Yeah.
how do you keep going? And a lot of people came back and said, my other children, my
Yeah.
grandchildren.
Yeah.
I don't have that either.
Yeah.
I don't even have a dog.
I know. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
I lost both my pugs in the last year. So, there's another level for me because when Lacey passed away late January,
Yeah.
I was a mom to her.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So now I'm a mom to nothing. Well, maybe my
Yeah.
husband once in a while.
Yep. 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 We're always moms to them. Yep.
Yeah. But we were talking earlier about laughing so hard.
Yes.
I remember someone who I know lost a child a year and a half ago, and she said, "When did you laugh again? When did this feeling go away?" And I couldn't really remember until I thought about it a little longer. And Derick passed February, the end of February,
Yeah.
and it was in July. My girlfriend and I traveled around Florida. We took an airplane and drove around, and not only I was really mad because the pain of losing Derick was still there.
Yeah.
But anyway, the one time we went into a store and I tried on a bathing suit, and it was so wrong. It was wrong on every level. It was a one piece, but it was probably 3 sizes too small. It squished the girls down
Yeah.
to my belly button, and I was laughing.
Yeah.
And I looked in the mirror, my face turned red. I had tears in my eyes, and this time they weren't from losing my boy.
Yeah.
And I was laughing, and my girlfriend said, "Well, are you going to show me?" And I opened the door, and it was terrible. And she laughed, and I laughed. And that was the first time I laughed, like a
Wow.
real laugh. That was in July.
Yeah.
So it took a while.
So it says I have 1 minute and 50 seconds. So what would you like? Is there any last message you maybe want to give to other grieving parents that may watch this of how to help them get through each day? I always just say, look at the beauty in life. It's not going to change. It's not going to bring back your child, but just try to find some glimmer of happiness every day, whether it's nature, outside, anything.
Yeah. And for me, photography's been great. But
There you
I
go.
would say, just try and be busy with something you do enjoy doing. If it's really fresh, just know it's not even one day at a time. It's one breath at a time.
Oh, I like that actually, because I always say take second by second, one breath at a time is a very good way
It
to
really is.
yeah.
And also, just in case Derick's on Facebook.
And thank you so much for giving me this pleasure to do the podcast with you. I know it's hard to talk about our kids, but it's also good, right? It's good to talk about them because we really
Oh,
can't talk about them a lot
in case
to,
Derick's on Facebook, I just want to tell him that I love him in all my breaths.
and I'm sure he would be saying, I love you, mom.
He would, with his long arms, wrap him around
Yep,
me. God,
yep,
I miss him. I miss him so much. And yeah, just
I
one breath
know.
at a time. Then it becomes one day at a time. And you just have to wake up and live.
Yes. But thank you so much for this opportunity. And I'll let you know when I post it. And again, maybe we'll do another podcast together if you're up for that.
I'm always up for all kinds of things.
Oh, perfect. You're just like me then. Well, you
Thank
have an
you.
amazing day and thank you so much for sharing your stories.
Well, I'm glad I could. I hope that there's parents out there that find this helpful.
I think so. I definitely think so. And again, thank you so much.